Guys, another quick one here while we're just doing some car recording because that's all the space I can find right now. Um, Guys, one thing I think that really messes me up and that probably messes a lot of people up is feeling like you have to be okay all the time. We always tell people, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm fine. We all know that you're not. All of us are crying inside sometimes. There's no such with the tombstone. There's no such thing as a normal life. There's just life, and that nails it right on the head. But depending on how you grew up, depending on how you were raised, you might not understand that it's okay to not feel okay. So what do I mean by that? It sounds stupid, right? So what I mean by that is simply, you know, if you don't feel right, if you don't feel good, that doesn't mean the world is ending, and that doesn't mean you are not supposed to feel that way. I think especially as Americans, we really try to be fine. We try to be okay. We try everything is great. There's that burning room with the dog meme of everything's okay, fine. I like this. It's all right. And that's important. And I think a lot of the ways that we were brought up really kind of comes into play here. So from mine, and guys, I don't want you to ever think that I was sitting here like shitting on my family. I think my parents did the best they could with what they had and what they knew, and it was a different time. But being you were taught that if you're not okay, you just say you're okay, and just you say it long enough, and eventually it'll be true. Boys weren't supposed to cry. Feelings were sort of like warm sandy beaches in Great Britain. Who the fuck wants to hear about your feelings? As a guy, if you have feelings, who the hell wants to hear about them? So um so with that, we sort of get this cult of I'm okay, I'm fine, everything's good, and the longer you're in there, the harder it is to acknowledge that hey, I may have something that's broken inside of me. I may have something that's bent. I may have something that's I don't know, or Rob Thomas, like I don't know. There may be something that's inside that's not doing so hot, and if you're taught to either like suppress it and tell everyone you're fine, or just think it think about it as such a weird thing that you're not supposed to feel or have, those are your two options. Neither one of them is healthy. Um, it's just not. And I think that's one of the things that really oh, you see it's on here. If this is recorded bad, I apologize. But it's one of those things I think that really messes people up. And I've gone through the past couple years a lot of mental health issues. Things that I don't have enough time. We don't have enough time to get into right now. But this stuff's good. The C4 stuff is shit. Don't ever buy it. But depression, bipolar, um, ADHD. These are things that I deal with on an everyday basis. But I remember my parents. One time I was telling them, like, hey guys, this is something that's going on in my life. I'm in therapy for it. I have medication, all sorts of stuff. And my parents were like, well, maybe if you slept more, you wouldn't have bipolar. Maybe if you slept more, you wouldn't be ADHD. Like that was their cure. You know what I mean? So chew some valerian root and get some nice healthy natural sleep. Obviously that's not the case. You can help the symptoms of a mental disorder or a physical one really by eating right and ensuring that you're properly rested and all that other stuff. But you're never going to sleep your way out of a mental problem. Yeah, I know. X's. But when that's the response. That's how my family treated things. It's kind of hard to even explain something to them. And it's like, oh, it's my fault that you are this way. It's like, no, like this is how I'm wired. I was wired like this since I was a kid. This isn't like I tripped and fell and hit my head and now I'm like this. So going back to the it's okay to be okay thing, you have to understand that what other people think about what you're going through, it can be a useful barometer. So if I'm feeling a certain way and everyone around me is saying that, hey, bro, this isn't right, like I'll get paranoid or something, and all of a sudden people will be like, hey, Ben, there's nobody at the front door, there's nobody outside, just the TV, whatever. calm down. It's a useful barometer, you know what I mean, for those times. And I don't really have them much anymore, but for a while there, you know, I think that there's people in the house right hear stuff. It's really weird. But those usually get it from like not sleeping for 3 days. By 3 or 4 days of not sleeping, I hear and see all sorts of things. But most of that's in the past. So you can use it as a barometer, but don't let people tell you how you should be. You know, if I listen to my parents, so you're supposed to listen to your parents, I would just lay down and go to sleep, and then I would wake up and everything would be cured. You know, I would lose 60 pounds. I would, all my disorders and stuff would be done. You know, I'd be fine. It'd be great. You know, I just go running the next day. And the reality is no, it's not that way. You know, I quit smoking recently, well, a couple of years ago now, and then drinking, after 20 years of, so literally half my life of essentially being an alcoholic, and, so right now I'm drinking a lot more caffeine. I'm eating more. I'm gaining weight because I'm not going through the emotions of drinking anymore. I'm just more eating stuff. So I'm okay with that. I can understand that this is how my life's going to be for a little ways, and then we're going to claw it back to the way that it should be. Lose some weight, all this great stuff. But if you're told that not being okay is not okay, you are going to struggle with how you feel when you're feeling bad. If you've done something wrong, if you've offended somebody, even if you just think you have, that can be a big deal. If you believe that you've upset somebody or said something wrong that they hate you for, 9 times out of 10 you didn't. It's just you overreacting. Trust me, I know. But you're going to have a really, really tough time if you cannot get that figured out and how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So it's one of the things that the military talks about a lot. So it's like, hey, you are embracing the suck. You're in the shit. You're in something that you don't like doing. Okay, you can't fix it. You can't get away from it. You can't, whatever. So what are you going to do? We're going to put you in a place that you're not comfortable with. How are you going to deal with it? And the people that are successful, they adapt and they say, yes, I understand that this is not comfortable, but I understand that I have the tools in the toolbox to deal with it, and that feeling like something is going wrong is okay because that tells me there's something there that I can fix. And knowing that you can fix it, knowing that there's a timetable even for what it takes to fix, that is important. You can't fix everything right away. Knowing it is the first step, and then you kind of go from there. But if you're not okay with not being okay, if you don't understand that is the body, the mind, your soul, your spirit, however you want to call it, telling you something about how you are feeling or what's wrong, you're going to have a very, very tough time. When I was a kid, I remember I fell and I hurt myself. And I told my dad, I was like, I wish, I wish I could feel no pain. All my Death Guard players know what I'm talking about. But no, I wish I could feel no pain. And my dad said that there are people in this world that feel no pain. And I was like, well, why can't I be one of them? That sounds great. If I fall and hurt myself, I'm not crying, I'm whatever. And he's like, because they don't live that long. I was like, what do you mean they don't live that long? If you can't feel pain, you'd be great. Of course, as a kid, you don't understand that, like, pain is there to tell you something is wrong. Pain is there to alert you to something that you may not otherwise be aware of. I mean, how many of you guys have sat there and cut something, you're carving a pumpkin or you're cutting, whatever, and all of a sudden you look down and there's like a bloody nick on your hand. And you're like, oh shit, when did I get that? I don't even remember touching my hand. I'll put a Band-Aid on that or just, whatever. If you don't feel any pain and you walk by something and you bump into something that cuts you deeply and you can't feel it, you're going to start feeling woozy and all of a sudden you're bleeding out, and it's pretty much curtains for you at that point in time. If you've burned some part of your body, if you put your hand on a hot pan or something, and also you're like, well, why doesn't my hand move? It's like, well, you burnt the shit out of it. And so the trick to not struggling through the not okay parts, you're going to struggle. But I think the trick is not feeling the pain. The trick is that not minding that it hurts. What they say in that one movie. But understanding that you're gonna hurt. Okay, this is life. Everyone else is gonna hurt too. But that it's okay to feel like that because you're being told something that you can fix. If you don't feel anything emotionally, if you are completely cut off, it doesn't matter to you. It's really hard to make those changes because you don't know what's wrong. You don't know what needs to be fixed. You don't even know what a problem is. You know, if people are like, God, I don't want to hang out with you anymore, and you can't tell why you're being an asshole, it's going to be really, really hard to fix your social situation. So guys, again, sorry, I'm getting thirsty here. I love a start a conversation. I understand that this is a very small channel right now. I don't expect people to see this. It's fine. But if you are going through something, put something in the comments. Let's start a discussion. These are things that I want to leave behind. You know, I'm going to be 40 here in 2 weeks. And yeah, you know, it's so I'm looking at it in a much better perspective than I was before. You know, so the glass is half full, glass is half empty. So on one hand, I'm looking at this going, okay, this is the halfway point of my life. Probably further than that. I don't know if I'll live to be 80, maybe 70. We'll see. But you know, if you know, going into 40 and saying, okay, well, I'm not okay with aging. I'm not okay with people telling me I'm over the hill. I'm not okay. So all these things are the things that I'm feeling that I can look at and correct. Well, what do I want to do to correct it? Well, there's not a lot I can do. I'm going to age. I'm going to feel uncomfortable. I'm not going to be as fast or whatever as I used to be, or strong or whatever, but I can work on that. I can go home and lift weights like I'm starting to do. I can do things like this where I'm leaving behind some things that I think about, and maybe somewhere down the road people will see them. You know, so I'm doing more with my life than I did probably over the past 20 years. So yeah, it's you know, this is how I'm dealing with my being uncomfortable, because for a long time I was just wallowing in it. You know, I loved my 30s. My 30s were freaking great. But you know, looking at it and going, okay, well, you know, I'm gonna age and I can't do anything about it. How am I gonna, you know, cross that bridge? How am I gonna do, you know? And so I'm like, well, if I go into it thinking, oh fuck, my life is half done, it's gonna suck. But I look at it and say, okay, I've had like literally half my time on this planet to prepare me to be the person I'm gonna be. I just became a father a couple years ago. I became a husband, and you know, this was all leading up to being the person that I was supposed to be. You know, if my life went in a certain direction. So by being uncomfortable and identifying that fact and then going, okay, well, what can I do about it? This is one of the things. I'm going to sit in my car for 10, 15 minutes and record something because it's cheaper than therapy. Okay. I'm not doing this because I feel awesome. I'm doing this because I don't. And I think that's the thing that people don't recognize, is that it's hard to just say, I'm, you know, if you see me making a video, I'm probably not in a good spot. You know, I probably have something that I want to talk about that I can't, and I want to get off my chest, and I want people to know about it. But I also, you know, it may not be something that is for my friends and family, or they already know about it, and we've gone around and around and around, and you know, until we're all sick and blue in the face of it. And going here is talking and, you know, being a new outlet for me. So think about what you need to do. Think about what you need to do. You know, you could record these things and never put them on the internet. You could, you know, just have it, you know, dear diary, whatever. I guess it's kind of what that is. It's kind of weird. But you know, if it's going running, if it's working out, my dad was a runner. You know, that's how he dealt with stress. If you know, you go for a run and also drink a lot. But you know, just think about that. If you feel uncomfortable, realize that, you know what, it's not a foreign sensation. That is not a, you know, sensation that you're not supposed to feel. You know, we think about that so often. I think in psychiatry and, you know, everything else, that if you don't feel good, that's messed up and you need to fix it. Yeah, you do need to fix it. It is messed up. But that not feeling good is the reason that you start fixing things. If you feel good all the time and all of a sudden you look over and you're like, holy shit, I'm suicidal because XYZ, I haven't dealt with any of these problems, but I feel good though. You know, it's not going to work. So, you know, when you feel that uncomfortability, you know, have an action plan. Think about what you're going to do. Are you going to record something? Go for a run, go for a walk, call a friend. You know, guys, the suicide rate is ridiculous in this world, especially for men. Men have a much, much, much higher rate of successfully concluding a suicide attempt, let's say, and self-removal. So realize that, it doesn't matter how big or small your problems are. If they're big enough or small enough or anything that drives you to thinking bad thoughts like that, if it drives you to take risks with your life, take, risks with your money, those high risk behaviors, realize that it could be something as small as I tripped over a block of Legos and hurt my foot this morning. And that's what set me off into this, emotional rampage that might conclude with me doing something bad to myself. Well, in this case, stepping on a fucking Lego, yes, it's small, but if it is the thing that drives you to doing something that's very, very problematic and permanent, how small was that really? I think it's pretty big, Somebody cuts you off in traffic and you come in and you start, to work and you start yelling at people and you start thinking, well, my life isn't, worth this. You lose your job because you spouting off. Excuse me. Then being cut off in traffic wasn't a small thing. It might be a small thing in the grand scheme of things. Other people might look at that and say, Jesus, dude, that's not too bad. But for you, that could be just, lighting the fuse. The fuse isn't what destroys things when the bomb goes off. The bomb does that, but the bomb has to have a fuse. And the fuse is something that's smaller and easier to light that is able to bring that fire to the rest of the explosive. So realize that you don't need to put fire directly on the explosive. You don't need to have a really messed up situation directly affect you. You could just be sad. You could just, when you don't know why. And, these little things keep leading you into this direction of you're going to blow your stack at some point. And that's where I was, and that's not a good place to be. That's not where you want to be, with how you're feeling. You need a way to cut that fuse. For me, it's not getting mad in the first place. If I get mad, if I start swearing, it's done. It's just like a roller coaster. I just go on one track and I'm done. So if I don't do that, I realize, okay, look, I'm not okay right now. I'm upset. Okay, well, if I start swearing and, and snipping at my wife or whatever, it snowballs. Okay, so yes, I'm upset, and that's not a good feeling, and that's not where I want to be. So it's telling me, Ben, hey, don't do these things. Calm down, take a breath, go sit down somewhere, whatever. So guys, before this runs on into this long thing, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I do apologize for the voice and everything. Put some comments in there, guys. Share, like, subscribe. Hopefully this is worth it to somebody. I've seen some things where it's like, people's videos where it's literally saved my life. Watching someone's video about somebody that goes through the same things that I do, and how they cope with it, how they deal with it. So if one person in this entire world sees 1 minute of this video, and it helps them through, whatever they're going through, I'm beyond excited. A life being saved by something as simple as a recording. It's pretty powerful stuff. So, guys, have a great rest of your day. Stay accurate. Try to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I'm just getting too crazy here. And, yeah, take care. Be kind to each other. But most important, be kind to yourself. Because self is where all that rest of that stuff comes from. Peace out.